Hello, welcome back. Mike from Canavan Wealth. It is June 20th, time for Mike Reads the Journal. This is the last day that I'm not actually in the office. In fact, I'm traveling back today. So I don't have market updates because it's actually the end of May when I'm recording this. But this particular article caught my eye because of a couple of experiences recently with my wife that I'll get into. But the article is talking about how changes in work, which is, very few people commute 5 days a week into a major metropolitan area. A lot less do it now than they did, let's say, 3 years ago before the pandemic. And a lot more people have access to remote work. Even if they're not entirely remote, they have access to maybe 1 or 2 days a week where they're not coming into the office and they're, doing some of that work remotely. Saves them a lot of cost. And, it's a big job benefit. My wife is kind of in that category, in that she's usually on campus she's a college professor 3 to 4 days a week, maybe 4 to 5, and then the other days she works remotely. It's a split program anyways. There's multiple campuses. A lot of the students, because it's a master's program, don't necessarily live on campus anyways. So, interacting with their professors remotely is maybe the case whether the professor is in the office or in a home office. So, this is just kind of the future of work, I think. And that is really hurting, as this article talks about, urban downtowns where those lunches and those errands are now being run where the people live more and less in the downtown metropolitan area, which is helping suburban retail really come back. These are kind of local malls and strip malls that for years and years had really, really seen declines. And the kind of story that kind of brought this personal to me is that my wife is actually right now about to finish her doctorate program and graduate here. Congratulations to her. And I'm about to get on a plane to go see that. But we were down in Salt Lake City. I was driving her down there to fly to Boston for her graduation. And we had some hours to kill before we went out to dinner. And we were like, oh, let's go to the mall, walk around. And this mall, which was on a Sunday afternoon in Salt Lake City, outside of Salt Lake City in Murray, Utah. If you're familiar with Salt Lake City, it has heavy religious influences. Sundays are usually pretty slow days. You would have thought this was Black Friday at the mall from the parking lot. I drove around for 10 minutes trying to find a spot. When we got inside, it was shoulder to shoulder. It was absolutely nuts. And we had the same experience when we were in our local mall just a couple of days ago looking for shoes for our trip in June. And the local mall did not have an empty storefront and was doing really well. I mean, a lot of people in there. And this is a mall that, 3 years ago, even the year before COVID, was really struggling. It was a ghost land in there. They ended up doing all the COVID shots and vaccinations in our area in the mall because of how empty it was. And we were just in there recently and it was doing very, very well. So we've seen this in suburban areas that we've been frequenting lately, of this kind of boom in suburban retail. Not a lot of empty storefronts. Strip malls are filling up, absolutely. Of course, this is coming at the expense of the downtown areas where, if the workforce is there 20% less, then they are spending 20% less money in that area. Even if it's just 1 day a week that they're out, that's a major blow in terms of total spend in the downtown area. And I think the real interesting thing that's going to watch here over the next 10 years is to see how urban downtown areas adjust to this. As we know that office occupancy rates are at historic lows, meaning there's lots and lots of empty office buildings. We suspect a lot of those are going to be turned into apartments and places to live because cities are notoriously high rents and things along those lines. And how is this all going to work out? Are we going to see urban downtown areas become less expensive from where they are now, places to live? And some of these major downtown areas, are they not just going to be the place people work, but they're also a reasonable place to live, less commuting? And what are cities in the US going to look like after COVID and the move to remote work, and as the world modernizes? There will be lots of opportunity for companies and buildings and whatnot to reinvent themselves and, really take charge of this change. But undoubtedly, there will be lots of companies and buildings and whatnot that do not make it through this change, this kind of, dynamic world that we're about to live in or are living in. So there will be some economic hardship that comes along with that as well. That's really it on that topic. I just thought it was kind of a neat thing to discuss. As usual, like and subscribe if you want to see similar content. I will have a new webinar coming up in July. I don't know at this time what the topic is, but it's probably on the website by now at canavanwealth.com. We obviously skipped it in June because I was not around. If you have any questions, you can always shoot them to Mike at canavanwealth.com. Otherwise, I will talk to you soon. Thanks.